Pickleball has changed in the past 3 years more than any other sport that I've ever played. If you're still playing the same game that you learned back in 2021, or the same exact game that you learned from someone that's been playing for a very long time, you're going to quickly get left behind. And the reason that I know this is when I first started playing pickleball, I sped up everything. I would hit drives at the baseline, rush the net, and try to put the ball away. But I had very little success in doing this. And when we hear the word modern pickleball, we think that we need to drive every single shot. But what I quickly learned is that doesn't work because it's not consistent enough. And so there's a certain order of things that you have to go through in order to be not only a consistent player, but an aggressive player also. And there are many players that are on two sides of the fence where they're extremely aggressive or they're extremely consistent. And the point of this video is to help you be aggressively consistent, because a player that can be aggressive and consistent at the same time and is a player that's going to take their game to the next level extremely fast. I've been teaching and competing in racket sports for the past 11 years, but it wasn't until I modernized my game in the correct way that I broke through that 5.5 level. Now, many of you out there might be thinking, well, hey, I'm at the 3.5 level. I'm not worried about 5.5 right now. And what I say to that is that no matter what level you're at, if you modernize your pickleball game, you're going to very quickly be able to get to the next level, no matter what level that might be. Whereas if you just want to be that player that just continues to be consistent and push the ball, as I said before, you're going to very quickly be left behind. And so in this video, we're going to be breaking down the specific steps that you need to take to modernize your pickleball game. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Austin. I'm a PPR certified pickleball coach and a 5.5 rated player. So without further ado, let's open the playbook. So pickleball used to be an extremely simple game. Slow dinks, patient rallies, and pretty predictable pattern. In contrast, we have the modern pickleball game with faster transitions, more aggressive third and fifth shots, and new shots like the drip, which is a combination of both a drop and a drive, so that you can not only hit the ball short into the court, but also hit it aggressively. So with modern pickleball, the game is no longer just about consistency, but it's about creating chaos that you can control. Emphasis on control. If you can't control the shot, even though you're being aggressive, you're not playing modern pickleball. So as I shared before, when I first got into pickleball, I would literally attack every single shot. And it drove my partners absolutely nuts, not because I was attacking and being successful, but because I was attacking and missing 50% of them. And we never ended up winning. And so they'd continuously tell me, Austin, you have to dink, you have to dink, you have to dink. But it never made any sense to me. Okay, I have to dink. I would start dinking and then I'd just get this urge, I need to speed up the ball. And then slowly over time, I started dinking the ball more, hitting more drops than drives, and going into what I thought was the correct way to play pickleball. And what happened is that I lost my aggressive instincts. So instead of utilizing my strengths and what came naturally to me with being aggressive, I instead just went along with what they were saying and started just trying to dink the ball over and over and over again. I had a huge over-reliance on consistency and not enough reliance on actually understanding why I was dinking the ball, where I was hitting the dink to, or where I was hitting my drop to. And so I had no strategy behind the consistency. And then on top of that, I lost those aggressive instincts. I stopped initiating offense, and this also hurt my countering game because I wasn't getting very many reps with hitting the ball fast. And so when someone would actually speed it up at me, my counter fell way behind. And so as a result, I was playing very reactive and not proactive. And so I realized this in my own game that I had lost, that instinctive nature to speed up the ball, and I had lost all my consistency with it. And so since I realized this, I stopped trying to out-rally my opponents with consistency, and instead I started trying to out-pattern them. Now this led me to the next step. Now I was looking at the pickleball court and I wasn't just seeing it as this place where I try to hit the ball into the court somewhere. Instead, I was seeing different strategies that I could utilize to take advantage of my opponents. And that's when I began to understand that consistency isn't anything unless it has purpose. And the more purpose you can bring to your consistency, the more consistent you can get at being aggressive. And once I understood this, I started beating players that I'd never beat before and started winning matches that I never even dreamed of winning. By the way, if you're anything like me, you want the best paddle at the best price. You can go to lockerroompickleball.com and get 15% off any paddles, balls, bags, or any pickleball gear that your heart desires. I wanted to show you guys the new paddle that I am using, the Perseus 3S Dual. So the original 3S that came out was only UPA approved, which means that you could only play with it in PPA tournaments. So any local tournaments, I was not able to play with this specific paddle. So because of that, I used the Yola Pro 4. I absolutely love my Pro 4, but this paddle is pretty much the same exact paddle with a cooler design, and it's $80 cheaper. So if you're in need of a pickleball paddle, this is the one that I would recommend. I'm not in any way sponsored by Yola, and I'm not just recommending that you get a Yola. This is just my favorite paddle. LockerRoomPickleball.com has a wide selection of different paddles from different brands, and so you can pick what paddle you want to get. In specific, I use this 16mm Perseus. So again, if you want to get 15% off any paddles, balls, or gear, you can use code Playbook at checkout, where I'll receive a small commission that goes to supporting the channel. So I hope that helps. Now back to the video. And what that lesson taught me is that there are 3 specific pillars to the modern pickleball game. I started following these 3 pillars and I saw huge success. So let's start by talking about pillar number 1, and that is offense through pressure. When I first got into pickleball, I was told, okay, you drop the ball and you dink the ball. You drive the ball very rarely if it's super high, and you can absolutely crack down on the ball. But as my game progressed, and so many others did, we realized that the very best play that you can start a point out with is to instead drive the 3rd shot of the rally and drop the 5th shot of the rally. Driving that initial shot sets you up for an easier drop so that you can consistently get up to the kitchen line. And the reason that you want to consistently get up to the kitchen line is because not only does it take more court away from your opponents, but it also gives you more angles to work with and more opportunities to put the ball away. So let me show you exactly what I mean. If I get closer up to the kitchen, my opponents have less court to hit to. Now they can only hit the ball to the kitchen unless they speed it up at me. Whereas if I just stay back here and drive the ball all day or drop the ball all day, now they have all of this court to work with. So that was the first thing. I understood the number 1 play for modern pickleball is the drive and drop combo. So when we serve the ball, that return comes back and bounces. We're going to drive the first shot and drop the second shot. Now, the second thing that I learned with pillar number 1 of being offensive through pressure is how adding spin and height, or lack of height, would quickly change us from being on defense to offense. And that was specifically done with the drip shot. The drip, as I talked about before, is the mix of a drop and a drive. With the drip, we're getting an insane amount of spin on the ball so that it drops near our opponent's knee area as they're standing up on the kitchen line. The reason that you want to drop or drip to your opponent's knee area is because it puts them in a very awkward position where they have to decide, do I step back and hit the ball off the bounce, or do I try to just hit this ball off of my knees? And if they do, notice it's from such a low vantage point that if you actually hit them in the knee, that they have to hit up from this position because the net is in their way. Now, a lot of you might be asking, why would I try to hit my drip at my opponent's knees instead of hitting it into the kitchen? Well, that's probably because you're playing the old way of pickleball. We've all been taught to try to get our drops to land in the kitchen, that this will set us up for the most offensive opportunities and help us to be able to transition up to the net faster and faster each time. But with the advancements in paddle technology, it's no longer plausible to hit your drops into the kitchen. Because if you do, since paddles are so much faster and they have so much more spin now, that takes away all the pressure off your opponents because they can just hit a simple 4th off the bounce and keep you back into the court. Whereas instead, if you aim for those knees or that shin area, again, it puts them in that awkward position where they have to decide, take it off the bounce or take it out of the air from this horrible position. So either way, they're either leaning back or they're popping the ball up. Now, the second thing that I mentioned is height with that spin. When we're hitting a drip, we don't want to have a lot of height over the net. For those of us that were taught to hit drops in the past, we want to have arch on them. We want them landing in the kitchen, as I said before. With this specific shot, we want it clearing the net by 2 to 3 inches. So it's very low over the net and it's more of a straight line that we're drawing directly to our opponent's knees. And that spin is what's going to bring it ultimately down below net level. So our entire point and our entire intent behind hitting this drip shot is to try to get the ball to go below net level right after it crosses the plane of the net. And the way that you're going to do that is with tons of spin. So pillar 1 is offense through pressure. Apply as much pressure as possible on your opponents right from the get-go. Don't just try to be the consistency guy. Instead, hit every single shot with intent. Now, what I will say is that the only way to get consistent at hitting this drip shot or any other shot in pickleball is to drill it. And that's why I created the Pickleball Drills app. For those of you that don't know, when I first started playing pickleball, I was about at the 3.5 level, and I entered into a 4-0 tournament thinking that I was absolutely gonna blow everybody out of the water. And what ended up happening is that we ended up losing and getting like second to last place. And so this was a huge wake-up call to me, and I didn't really know where to go from there. And what happened is I was playing a rec game the next week with my friend Jace. I had not played with Jace since one of the very first times that I played. And so I'm about 2 months into my pickleball journey, and I'm playing with the same person, and he ended up destroying all 4 of us on the court, Whereas when we initially played, one of the first times that I had played, we were about at the same level. And so I went up to him and I asked him, hey Jace, what is going on with your pickleball game? Like, how are you playing this well? What have you been doing? And what he revealed is that he had been drilling. And I was absolutely blown away, like, all you've been doing is just getting out and getting reps in. It's not something that I had ever done before. And so he explained it to me, and I started drilling from that point forward. And I went on to not only win a 4-0 tournament, but win a 5-0 tournament in the period of 3 months of dedicated drilling. I went out every single day and I drilled my brains out. And so I've seen what an impact drilling can make on my pickleball game, and I know it can do the same exact thing for you. And so the only way to be good at modern pickleball is to get out and drill shots so that you can not only be aggressive, but consistent. And the best way to do that is with the Pickleball Drills app. You can go to pickleballdrillsapp.com and access hundreds of different drills that I and other pros have created to help you level up your pickleball game. So be sure to check it out. Pillar number 2 is being offensive from mid-court. Now, when I very first started playing pickleball, there were these pros that I had played with, and I mean old-time pros. And they had the game down to the T. And what was so interesting about one of these specific pros is that he was way ahead of his time. He was already playing modern pickleball. And that is that he would attack from mid-court, rush up to the net, and instantly finish the point. And so I started doing it as well, and what I found was it's just an amazing tactic that you can use to automatically take advantage of the point, even though you're not in the most optimal position. And I'm telling you, he would attack from way down here, even if the ball was low. And I'm not saying to do that if you're at the 3-5, 4-0 level. Probably wanna attack anything that's above waist height at that level. But what I am saying is that he would attack from this more so defensive position, where before you would always see people reset the ball into the kitchen with a lot of arch. He would attack, rush the net, and put the ball away. And what this did is his forward momentum and attacking from this position makes the ball travel way faster at your opponent and almost always catches them off guard. And so because of this, it makes it really easy to just get easy pop-ups and put the ball away. And the other flip side to that is resets. Resets have changed drastically. And so you need to make sure that you're practicing the correct reset. When we're up here at mid-court and we're resetting the ball, we don't want to have a ton of arch on our ball. Instead, we want to draw a straight line, you guessed it, to your opponent's knees. And what I mean by a straight line is that I'm resetting the ball and it's coming off and it's having low net clearance and landing right near my opponent's knees. You can no longer get away with having that arch on your reset and having it land inside the kitchen to which your opponents can tee off on, even if you're at mid-court. It just doesn't work anymore with the advancements in paddle technology. And so that brings us to the question, well, how do we know if we should speed up the ball from mid-court or we should reset the ball from mid-court? And what it comes down to is picturing a bubble around your body that comes out a foot from your body. Now, if you don't have time to get your paddle outside that bubble, you're going to be resetting the ball. If you do have time to get your paddle outside that bubble, you're going to be speeding up the ball. Now, that's definitely something that's easier said than done, and it's something that has to be trained, practiced, and drilled. And the more that you drill it, the easier it's gonna be to be able to make that decision. Is this ball inside my bubble or is it gonna be outside my bubble? Because all that you have is a second and maybe even a half of a second to decide. And so again, it comes down to time. If you have time, you're swinging away, applying pressure on your opponents. If you don't have time, you're resetting that ball, drawing that straight line, still trying to create offense even with a reset. And so this is a specific drill that I like to do to practice this shot.
Hey guys, I'm pro player Camille Zalvetti, and today I'm going to be teaching you a volley drill. This is either attack or volley. The way it works is one player will be standing at the kitchen line, the other player will be standing in the midcourt. The player in the midcourt will have to make the right decision whether the ball is high enough to attack or if it's low enough that they need to reset it. Let me show you how it works. I want to focus on anything below the knees. I want to focus on resetting. And everything above the knees, I want to focus on attacking. That will really focus on getting used to making the right decision while in gameplay, maybe even attacking balls that your opponents might not expect. Your opponent is trying to kind of keep you back and feed you kind of aggressive balls and keep you guessing on how high it's going to be. Let me show you what it looks like. So that's lower than the knees, so I reset. That's higher, so I attack. Lower than the knees, I reset. Lower than the knees, reset. Reset again, reset again. That's high enough, so I attacked. It might have not been the prettiest of attacks, but it gets working on getting used to attacking those balls. So lower than the knees, reset. Even though that might have been a little bit at the cusp, we are working on attacking those. So let's keep showing. Anyways, and there you have it. I hope you enjoy this drill.
And then pillar number 3 is court IQ and positioning. In the beginning, I didn't have a very good court IQ. I just hit the ball soft because everybody told me to hit the ball soft. And I ended up losing my natural instincts, which were to attack every single ball, which wasn't necessarily good either because I wasn't attacking with intention. And so the way that I improved my on-court IQ is I started asking myself questions such as, why did that player hit the shot in that position? And I would watch pros play and ask, why did that player, instead of dinking the ball cross court, speed the ball up the line? And so once I started asking questions, I started seeing these patterns. I started seeing that players would speed up the ball because it was bouncing in the kitchen. Or I would see that they were speeding up the ball out of the air because it was above the level of the net. Or it was above the level of their waist, depending on the level of the player. And so I became a major student of the game and I started treating pickleball like I do chess. I started understanding, okay, why would I put this piece in this specific position? What are the threats from doing that? And what offense am I creating from doing that? And so through watching a lot of professional pickleball, filming myself playing, and then watching that tape, I was able to analyze and understand patterns that helped me to be aggressive at the right times and in the right moments. That helped me to be able to understand the correct patterns to use in certain situations. Now, you're not gonna be able to understand every single pattern in pickleball today, but if you are interested in understanding the patterns in pickleball and truly understanding the pickleball playbook, be sure to subscribe because I love to talk about this stuff. And I talk about it all the time. So getting to the 5.5 level or getting to the next level, specifically for you, no matter what level that you're at, came down to understanding those 3 pillars. Offense through pressure, which means I learned the drip and I learned how to be consistent while attacking. And that came down to drilling and hitting the same shots over and over and over again to where it's as easy as brushing my teeth. Now, I still obviously make tons of mistakes. If I didn't make mistakes, I'd be the best player in the world, right? But what drilling does is it builds your confidence and helps you to be able to consistently execute shots that I attempted when I first started playing that players totally turned me away from because they said, hey, you need to be consistent, you need to be dinking and dropping the ball. And pillar number 2, which is being offensive from mid-court, whether that's with offensive resets that are drawing that straight line or speeding up the ball with swinging volleys out of the air. And pillar number 3, which was improving my pickleball IQ through asking why. Asking questions, analyzing play, and understanding why players were doing what they were doing. So modern pickleball isn't just about banging the ball as hard as you can from the baseline. It's about strategically hitting the ball so that you can not only be consistent, but be consistently aggressive. So my encouragement to you is to take action. Stop being the player that just dinks the ball so that they can be more consistent than their opponents. And instead be the player that is aggressive with purpose. And the best way that you're going to be able to do this and modernize your pickleball game and be consistent at it is through drilling. And again, you can find all the drills at pickleballdrillsapp.com, which is linked below. And if you'll do me a really quick favor and just comment below with whatever questions you might have about the pickleball game, this will help me to better understand your needs so that I can make very applicable content just for you. This video is sponsored by Future, the world's leading personal training app. When I first signed up, I answered a few quick questions about my goals and my schedule. Then I got to choose a coach who specifically fit my style. I went with Jake and right away we hopped on an intro call. What stood out to me right away was how comfortable it was for me to talk about my goals. There was no judgment coming from Jake and no rigid rules that we had to follow. And very quickly, Jake built a plan that fit my life perfectly. The app itself is super sleek, motivating, and way better than just your typical cookie cutter program because it's a real coach tailoring everything specifically to me. And the real kicker is that I get all the benefits of a real personal trainer. Accountability, daily communication, and completely personalized workouts at just a fraction of the cost of in-person training. Plus, I can work out anywhere, whether that's at home, at the gym, or while I'm even on vacation. Future is giving you your first month free. That is $200 of training at absolutely no cost. And this is just for my audience. So if you've been waiting for your sign to get the best body that you've ever had, this is it. So click the link at the top of the description and let's get stronger, feel healthier, and look better together. Thanks again to Future for sponsoring this video. And if you want to continue improving your pickleball game, I just barely made this video right here where I talk about the 5 best serves in pickleball. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you over there.